Greetings once again, future armchair Imagineers. Tiki here, and I'm going to bring you through the second part of my So You Want to Be an Imagineer historical retrospective. This part's going to cover seasons 1 through 3, which I like to call the Genesis era. But before I get into that, I want to make a quick couple announcements about season 11. When I posted the introduction to these retrospectives on the on the Visions Fantastic forums, I also posted a poll to let you guys choose what you wanted the title of season 11 to be. The two choices were Where No Mind Has Gone Before or Press Start, which is the title that I previously had when the season was going to be all video game themed. Now, obviously, the landscape of season 11 has changed quite dramatically. After I announced that it would be all video game themed, a lot of you guys seemed to drop out and kind of just not have interest in the game at all. I definitely intended the video game season to be sort of a niche, smaller season to come off of season 10. But, I don't want to do it at all if none of you are going to play. So I decided to make season 11 into, it's sort of a grab bag. I'm really interested in the projects this time around because they're coming from 3 distinctly different sources. First of all, I'm definitely going to have a few projects in there that are basically kind of sequels or spin-offs to memorable projects from season 10. So expect to be working, you won't be doing the same project by all means, but expect to see a couple things that you might have had a little bit of experience in from season 10 in season 11. And I'm also going to mix in a few video game projects here and there. There's definitely going to be a Zelda project. There's definitely going to be a Pokemon project, spoiler alert. Just huge franchises that were kind of the poster children of the Press Start season. And I also just kind of threw in a few oddball projects like you guys know I like to do, where that just totally challenges you and forces you to think outside the box. So I was kind of still leaning towards the title of Press Start, but I put up the poll and most of you guys chose Where No Mind Has Gone Before, so in light of me not really caring too much about that title, I came up with it off the top of my head, and it's kind of just an outdated Star Trek reference, but hey, whatever, we'll go with it. It fits because it's definitely an outside-the-box kind of season, so yeah, season 11, Where No Mind Has Gone Before. That is the official title of season 11. Now that that's out of the way, I also have to announce that I'm going to be pushing up the start date and the sign-up dates. So before I get into the retrospective itself, one more announcement for you guys. Due to popular demand, I've decided to bump the season up just a little bit. Originally, I had the sign-up set for May 15th with a June 5th release date, start date. And I decided to get things going a little earlier, so I'm going to have the sign-ups be on Sunday, May 5th, have the sign-ups run 2 straight weeks, and then have the game officially start on Sunday, May 19th. So mark your calendars for that. Hopefully we won't run into very many problems with finals, because I know finals are still kind of going on at that time. If you guys have any concerns about a May 19th start date and want me to push it back to June, then just let me know. By all means, I'm totally flexible with that. It just seems to me like you guys just want to get this going sooner rather than later, so I felt that I should just, pump it out. So, alright. Now, unfortunately, I really don't have the means or the resources to go back and look at every individual project in the So You Want to Be an Imagineer history, because those old threads were just taking up a lot of space on the forum. So Visions Fantastic was having some server issues a while ago, so I'm sure what happened is that they just went back and they just deleted a whole bunch of old threads, and that's perfectly fine by me. I can't say I blame them, or maybe the system itself just automatically deletes the threads out of a certain number of time. Whatever the reason, I just don't have access to the individual projects that were in seasons 1 through 3, so I'm really going off of memory with this. So I mean, just keep in mind that these retrospectives in general are not really going to be about individual projects. They're much more going to be focused on players and you know, gameplay and stuff like that, and just historical context. So let me jump you into season 1. I mean, man, I just feel really unprofessional for not knowing any of the projects. But I definitely know the players in season 1. There were a couple of players who really probably weren't into it at all and got eliminated early. That's Rachel and Maul 2, I think, are the 7th and 6th placers, the first 2 people officially eliminated from So You Want to Be an Imagineer ever. We never heard anything from them, so I have no idea, you know. But the final 5 of that season, every single one of the final 5 had a, you know, were very distinctive. We had Eli So Cool, who came out in 5th place, who would eventually go on to, I think he was in 5th place again, 5th or 4th place in season 2. Eli is just a classic wild card in that, you know, in the time he did play the game, I saw a lot of potential in him. I always like players who are willing to think outside the box, don't just go for the traditional Disney, and there is a place for that, and I'll talk about that. But I really admire players who can think outside the box, and Eli kind of demonstrated that on both his seasons. He's never showed up since season 2. I mean, he's long gone from the forum, but, you know, I always like to give him some props because he basically started what I like to consider the type of player called wild cards, where they're not really memorable enough or didn't get far enough into the season to be considered full all-stars. But, I mean, he definitely had something going on, so. And then, of course, 4th place. Now, let me put some history. This is where I can actually definitely talk about a project in season 1. The 4th place, the final 4, we had Costa Freak, we had Big Disney Fan, Disney Freak 59, who would eventually go on to win, and she kind of dominated the whole season, so that wasn't too surprising. And then we had everyone's favorite powerhouse, Basket Buddy. Now, if you're a fan of the game at all, if you've been following it for any period of time, you pretty much know that Basket Buddy is definitely one of the most dominant players ever. He made it to the final 2 3 times in a row, seasons 2 through 4, 1 in season 4, made it to the final 2 in season 10, which was the most intense and competitive season. Maybe should have won, came very close to winning season 10, came within 1 vote of winning season 10, lost to Snoopy, arguably in a popularity contest, who knows. But not taking anything away from Snoopy's game at all. You guys know that I think he's one of the best players and winners we've ever had. But my point being is that Basket Buddy was a huge powerhouse. He was a huge powerhouse from season 1, and he gets eliminated here. Now, I distinctly remember which project they were doing. They were designing e-tickets. I think that's, you know, in seasons 1 through, I'd say, about 3 or 4, the projects were very simple. It was just, you know, design a restaurant, design an e-ticket, design a show. There weren't really these very specific guidelines that you have to follow like in the projects today and these really sort of out there concepts. It was really much more of a meat and potatoes sort of thing. And so, yeah, the final 4 was just design an e-ticket, nothing more than that. And Disney Freak 59, she had a project that would go on to, still to this day, be one of the most memorable projects ever in the form of Legends of the Lost Army, which was a concept that she put into the World Showcase at Epcot in the China Pavilion. And it used real Chinese history and real Chinese mythology and turned it into just this huge, big budget e-ticket adventure. I remember moving statues were the biggest selling point. These like statues that came to life, and she had researched it all, and it was all part of real Chinese folklore and everything. That's a great project. She even made a, I'm not sure if they ever finished it, but her and someone else collaborated on a Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 recreation of that. So that might be still there if you go into the Roller Coaster Tycoon and the, you know, in the other games section of the So You Want to Be an Imagineer forum. We have a whole sub forum, and that might still be in there. I'm not completely sure. But Basket Buddies project, and this I also remember distinctly. This guy's a powerhouse. He totally, every project he does, he comes out swinging. He comes out with a huge amount of detail. Now he's even more of a force because he's got his famous 3D artwork that he introduced in Season 10 and basically went on to define the visual look of the game. But this one particular project, I still remember very distinctly why I just could not get behind it. It was, I'm pretty sure it was some sort of a suspended roller coaster in Condor Flats. So it was like a flight, it was like a flight sort of roller coaster thing. The big problem I had with it, the major problem I had with it, was that Basket Buddy decided to construct it right by the Grand Californian, which, I mean, that's just a 4-star luxury resort hotel. You don't just put a really noisy roller coaster right there. I just could not picture it. I mean, like I said, 99% of the time, Basket Buddy is a total powerhouse. He had his heart in the right place. He totally, I mean, he really, I just don't think he was considering that I'd take the Grand Californian into consideration. So, make a long story short, I eliminated him, and what was more than eliminating him was I kept Costa Freak in the game. Costa Freak is another very iconic sort of character and player. He's played in more seasons than anyone else. He definitely has that record, and he's known for having a lot of bad luck in the game. He's known in most of his seasons to have something that comes up with him where he just can't get online and ends up getting eliminated way earlier than he should. In the past few seasons, in Season 9 and Season 10, he's actually been way more of a player. He's been way more present, and he did make it to the final 2 once in Season 5. So Costa Freak's all over the place in terms of a player. But in Season 1, I mean, the first couple projects of Season 1, he was the underdog. Like, he was the person who you could tell did not have as much, armchair Imagineering experience as the rest of these people, or experience, or writing style, or, whatever. For whatever reason, his projects that he was submitting were just pretty obviously not up to par with the rest of the cast. But he came into his own throughout the season, and I wish I could remember specific examples of it. It really frustrates me that I can't remember specific projects. But he really came into his own. By the time the Final 4 rolled around, I really thought that, I mean, he was still probably the weakest technical player in the cast, but I was just so impressed with his growth story that, I mean, oh god, again, I wish I could remember what project he did for that Final 4 project. But, yeah, long story short, it was well, I've already made it a long story, so. But, basically, I eliminated Basket Buddy mostly over the fact that he decided to build a huge roller coaster right next to a 4-star resort luxury hotel. That's really what it came down to, was an issue of realism. Oh, and then the last person, Costa Freak, gets eliminated in the final 3. He made it way further than anyone thought he would, so, he basically just starts the whole underdog thing. And time after time, season after season, there's at least one underdog that shows up, but we'll get to that more when we get to the other seasons. Come the final 2, it was between Disney Freak 59 and Big Disney Fan. Now, I mentioned earlier how I really appreciate players who can think outside the box and don't just go with traditional Disney. But there is a place for traditional Disney in this competition, and I feel like Big Disney Fan really just personifies that more so than any other player ever, really. This dude is so devoted to just the old school Disney style, and, and just designing experiences that really feel like classic Disney. Now, there's a whole controversy that came up. Oh boy. Big Disney Fan, I wonder if you even remember this. But let me just first say in advance that I do kind of apologize. But yeah, big Disney fan basically dropped out in the final two due to personal scheduling conflicts, and so that means that the first official winner of So You Want to Be an Imagineer was kind of just by default, even though, Disney Freak was just a terrific, iconic winner who would have won regardless, so it's not that much, not that bad. I took it a little personally, and I kind of, oh god, I don't know. I'm sure I probably said some things that I didn't mean to say in regards to Big Disney Fan quitting, and Big Disney Fan, if you're watching this, man, you are a legend of this game. And also, I give you a ton of credit for keeping the forums in general alive all this time. Because Big Disney Fan is really the main person who does, like, open brainstorming stuff besides So You Want to Be an Imagineer. So, BDF, you definitely more than have your place in this community. I'm so glad that you're still around, and I really apologize for acting so immature about you quitting back in Season 1, if you're even still bitter about that at all, because I know that I was a little immature. Alright, folks, well, this has gone on a little longer than I thought it would, considering I have no projects to talk about, so... Oh god, this historical retrospective is probably going to be more like 5 or 6 parts now that I think about it. I think I can manage to squeeze seasons 2 and 3 into one video, because those are two of the least eventful seasons. Especially season 3, which I can talk a lot about how it's just not a season that I particularly care for. So part 2 will probably either cover seasons 1 and 2, seasons 2 or 3, or I might just get to 3. I might just get to 2. I'm stumbling all over my words right now. I'm going to stop this. So, like I said, sign-ups start May 5th and go until May 19th. Wait, is that right? Oh, crap. No, what did I say? Oh.